What's up, family? So, I tend to do some side jobs that kind of help support the business that I own, and also, of course, to make sure we remain financially stable. I do writing gigs, writing jobs, and another thing that I do often is security. And so, the other night, I was actually doing doorman security at a bar not too far from where I live. I've been there a few times already, so I kind of know the regulars there. And I had an incident where a gentleman would literally, um, he brushed right past me trying to get back in. And while I was telling him, hey, I needed to pat him down, make sure he didn't have anything that was prohibited, any items that was prohibited, i.e., weapons or anything like that. The gentleman walked right past me. He was like, no, 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 you ain't got to check me. And he literally just charges right in. So I follow him, of course, and I'm like, hey, you can't be doing that. So I'm speaking a little bit loud because there's music on in the bar. And I'm telling him, like, hey, man, don't ever in your life do that again. Don't ever in your life do that again because for several reasons. And I'll go into some of them in a little bit. So he ended up coming back outside. I don't know if he just went in there for something quick or what it was, but he came back outside. He tried to explain something to me. He wanted to talk to me about it, about how I spoke to him. And I was like, listen, man, there's nothing to talk about. You walked right past me. You didn't acknowledge me. You didn't acknowledge my respect. And so there were a couple of patrons that was out there watching as well. I told him basically he lost the privilege to explain himself when he did that. Because any man knows, like, you just don't. I guess it's a men's thing, more of a men's thing than women's, but you just don't brush past somebody when you're going into a place of business or you're going into somebody's home and you don't acknowledge them when they're speaking to you. I mean, I'm clearly security. I have a security shirt on. It says it on the front and the back of all my uniforms. I'm in all black, so I'm like, yeah, I'm clearly somebody that has to say something to you before you enter. And then this is a person that has already met me and seen me a few times. So he already knows who I am and he already knows the procedure. The gentleman left, went into his car, came back, and then tried to brush right past me and ignore the fact that I needed to search him because I don't know what kind of stuff he got from the car. Anyway, fast forward. But when I told the gentleman, he kept asking to say what he did wrong and why was I upset with him, and I told him. Well, first of all, I told him he wasn't allowed back in the bar that evening, but I continually told him, like, hey, you just don't brush past somebody. When you did that, you show complete lack of respect for me. Not just as a security officer, but as a man in general. And that's something that I have very low tolerance for. Extremely low tolerance. So as a result, it got a little bit escalated, but it calmed down because I made it very clear to him, like, I don't care how old you are. You're maybe twice my age, yet you're acting like someone, like an adult, like a young kid. I would expect that behavior from a teenager, not someone that's twice my age, And so that's one, with this video, I want to go into making sure you protect your territory. In this version of Tally Talks, it's about protecting your territory. We're kind of focusing on dealing with people that become disrespectful in your territory. Now, I always tell people, whether you're at work or whether you're at home, you do not have to tolerate any kind of disrespect from anyone. I work in hotel hospitality a lot, and there's a lot of times where people say, oh, the customer is always right. No, the customer is not always right because you have a job to do. First of all, it's a lot of work being in hospitality, and you have a job to do, but your job does not include tolerating disrespect, because what happens is you end up taking that home with you, and either you release it out on your family or it builds up into where you explode at some point. Either way, it's not a positive benefit. It doesn't benefit anybody, especially like your family. Your family are usually the ones that reap the repercussions of someone else disrespecting you. And so we always try to tell people, like, hey, don't tolerate none of that mess. I don't care whether you're working at the bar, the front desk, whatever it is you do, you don't have to tolerate disrespect at all, because you're here to work and you're here to serve people. You're not here to be cussed out and spit upon and treated like dirt. You're a human being, just like they are. You're a precious, you're God's creation, just like they are. I don't care how much money they make. And you're a very important person, period. And nobody has to tolerate disrespect. And I tell this not just to, this goes whether you're a Christian or not. I really apply it to Christians because, you know, there's a scripture that talks about, you know, oh, somebody hits you, turn the other cheek. And that's in the wrong some people take that out of context. But I really stress to everyone, like, if you don't get nothing else from this video, please, you don't have to tolerate any disrespect, because I want to see people have long-term healthy lifestyles and actually love the place that they work and not feel bad for being in a serving position. Like in the hospitality, it's a lot of people that just love to serve. Whether you're in a restaurant, the front desk, you want to help people and you want to make their stay better. You want to make their visit comfortable. And you want them to feel comfortable. You want to make them happy. And so you're in a serving position, and that's a very honorable and noble thing. There's a lot of honor in serving people, and I hate to see people get discouraged from doing this, you know, from serving others because of the amount of disrespect that might be, you know, they might have to endure. And so I encourage you all. I just want to, you know, really encourage y'all. You don't have to tolerate it. There are ways to professionally respond to any kind of situation where you're being disrespected. I'm sorry, let me get into these notes real quick. So going back a little bit, you know, I was talking about, you know, as a Christian, they say, you know, turn the other cheek, and they think that, oh, we're supposed to just roll over and be a doormat for people. That's not the case at all. In fact, you look at how Jesus was, he wasn't a doormat. There are several times, especially if you look in the book of John, there were several times where he put his foot down. And he had to be firm with people like, look, this ain't happening. You know, you're not going to be this way. I'm not going to let you just act like this and not tell you the consequences of your actions. And my favorite part is my favorite story, or my favorite example of him performing this is in Acts chapter 9, when, you know, he approached Saul. You know, at this time, Saul was known for persecuting Christians. And Saul was in a very high position of authority, and for some reason, he was just killing Christians. And so finally, the Lord was like, look, he approached him like, look, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you killing my people? You know, and you know, he talks about how Saul converted later on, you know, after that, you know, interaction. But to be honest, when I read the scripture, I'm not surprised if God was like, look, you've been killing my people long enough, man. I created you. I've blessed you. I've been merciful to you, and you're killing my people. Why are you killing my people? And they're just trying to carry out my purpose. So here it is, Paul or Saul. This is the deal. You either straighten up, or I'm gonna have to deal with you. Period. Now, it doesn't say that in the Bible, but I would be surprised if God was like that. You know what I'm saying? Going back to the situation I dealt with at the bar, that's how I was. I was like, listen, I need you to either straighten up, or you can't come back here no more. But your consequence for the action that you just pulled is you can't come back in for the night. And instead of responding, just be like, taking it as a man, like, hey, all right, I messed up. Let me just go for the night. I was like, you know, cool. Instead of doing that, this man tried to, like, film me, and he tried to call me out when other people was let in, and talking about, oh, you didn't search that woman. And I'm like, first of all, you're not gonna mention anything about my role here. You're not gonna patronize me or anything like that. And then you're not gonna film me. I almost broke his phone. Now somebody told me that was illegal. I'm like, man, I hope he would have called police and tried to say something stupid like that. You know, like try to foul that, because they would have looked at him stupid like, what are you? All you had to do was leave, and instead you want to try to record this person like he's doing something wrong while I was talking to him, you know, trying to make me look like a bad guy. And so I'm looking like, you know, hey, you're not even acting like an adult. Granted, I did not handle that to the best of my ability, even though I was in the right. I definitely could have toned down on my language. And there was a couple of former Marines that was next to me watching, and they said the same thing. They was like, dude, you was 90% right, but you know you got to tone down the language. And I know that's something I've been working on, so y'all please pray for me. Please, please pray for me on that. I mean, hey, when I get upset, I'm going to let you know. And every now and then, especially when it comes to grown men, women is a lot different. Grown men, I have no tolerance for any kind of nonsense. Because I'm like, if you're going to be a grown man, you better act like it when you're around me. So sometimes I get a little bit more up there. So please pray for me on that, y'all. I'm working. I'm a lot better than what I used to be, but I'm working. But, you know, granted, there's proper ways. You know, what I appreciated about the former Marines that were watching, they came up to me and was like, hey, this is from now on, you should handle it like this. This is how you should talk. Boom, boom, boom. And I know some of that, but they actually gave me some exact phrases to use. And it always helps to have people that are willing to help you, let you know, hey, you messed up, but this is how we can help. But anyway, back to Saul. But yeah, Jesus, I think God really was like, look, I'm giving you an ultimatum. Either straighten up or, you know, we cut you loose. And sometimes you got to do that with some people. It's sad to say, it's unfortunate to say, but man, sometimes you really got to do that, because there are people that will push your boundaries for some reason. They just want to see how far they can get over on you, you know? And it's unfortunate that, you know, especially in hospitality where you want to be very nice to people and everything. People in hotels, they know what I'm talking about. People that work security, I'm pretty sure you've dealt with people similar to this, where there's just people that want to push your boundaries just to see how far they can get over on you. And you got to put your foot down, though. You can't let them get over on you. And some people are like, oh, you can let them. No, you can't. Because if you don't put your foot down, they're not going to respect you. And that was me putting my foot down. I was like, hey, if I'm to let you back in, what does that say about, what does that look to other people like, hey, well, if he got away with it, then I can get away with it? No, not the case at all. Granted, like I said earlier, I did apologize to the man for cussing at him. But I was like, look, I'm working on that. So y'all pray for me, man. But as a result of God approaching this man, approaching Saul, he had a complete lifestyle switch. He even changed his name from Saul to Paul. When I did a little bit of research on it, Saul was like a magnified man, like someone that's glorified. And he even switched his name to Paul, which is like a lowly position, like a lowly type of name. So he went from high and mighty. He even changed the name where he changed his name from high and mighty, a high and mighty name, to a low and humble name, just to be like, look, Lord, I want to do right by you. I want to do this, and Lord, you here now. You're talking to me now. You let me know, hey, we need to straighten up. We need to work together. And here you are. You could have took me out, but you're being merciful. You're giving me a chance to change what I've done. Granted, he paid the consequences, but God covered him. And God used that man to save a lot of people's lives. So that's why I wanted to really make this video like, hey, don't be afraid to put your foot down. Let people know when they're in the wrong, because we have so many people just wanting to get over on stuff and try to have their way with everything. And look, if you paid attention, look at some of the mess that is created. You have all that leads us to some chaos, and all that leads to is lack of respect for what you do. So if you're having that problem in your household, whether it's with your family or whether it's at your job, where you just have people that constantly come and they're not respecting you, put your foot down. It's time to put your foot down, especially if you're a Christian. Hey, just because you're a Christian, you're not a doormat. Put your foot down in Jesus' name and let them know you will not be disrespected anymore. You are a child of God, and you will not tolerate that mess anymore. Period. And if you can't deal with that, if you can't respect me, then you cannot be in my place of dwelling, whether it's at work or whether it's in my home. Because wherever you work or live, you make that place your place of peace, your dwelling place, your place of peace and refuge. You make that place a place where when people come up to it, they're like, okay, I need to straighten up my act before I walk in those doors. Because if I don't, I'm not gonna like the end game, the end result of this day, of this interaction. All right. God bless you all. Sorry I made this a little bit longer than I wanted to, but God bless you all. Stay encouraged. Hey, leave comments, ask me questions, send me emails. I don't care. If you want anything, like you want to look up some more scriptures on this topic or any other topics we've done, feel free to do so. I'm open to doing that. All right. Y'all take care.